Test. Yeah,
Oh,
well, we're on. Okay. Die, dee, die, dee, 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 die, dee, die. Die, 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 die. Die, 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 dee, die, dee, die. Die, die, dee, die, dee, die, dee, die.
Shana Tova. Gmar Chatima Tova. May we all be signed into and sealed the book of life for a good year. We're going to begin our service tonight. Yeah, it says Rabbi's welcome on my outline, and welcome. I wrote that. It's good to be here tonight. Do you notice how the quality of the light in here is very different when it's dark outside and all of the lights are on? It's bright in here. It's warm in that lovely, comfortable way. Did you notice the casing for the ducts that was done over the summer? The casing for the columns that was done over the summer? And did you notice how the fans are not interfering with the beam of the lights? There's no strobe effect. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful to be here tonight with everybody, standing on the threshold of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, moving in to an altered sense of time. We're going to begin on page 247 in our prayer book. You should also have, well, this is my handout. Your handout has a cover page. You should also have a handout. Does everybody have a handout? Okay. I want to say a word about services etiquette. It's okay to get up and walk around. It's okay to, well, you don't really want to be talking to the person next to you because maybe they're trying to pay attention or whatever, but you don't have to be perfectly silent and still. This is a place of life. You can be alive. You can walk around. Sitting for a long time might not be comfortable. You can stand in the back. If you go to the way back and you see someone you want to talk to, you can talk to them. If you see someone you haven't seen all year and you want to sit next to them, go sit next to them. Don't worry about us. We're not going to think you're rude. I would advise not to talk really loud right next to somebody who's really focusing on the prayers. But if you do that, they'll turn around and they'll shush you. That'll be okay. But do feel free to, take care of yourself. You don't have to keep up. You don't necessarily have to bow when I say bow. You don't necessarily have to stand when I say stand. You can do what you need to do to take care of your body and your spirit. With that, let's begin on page 247. I'm going to ask you to please rise if you're able. And yeah. Let's read this together. Lord of the universe, in awe and humility, I have come to stand before you, to pray with your people Israel and on their behalf. Who is fit for such a task? Yet you are present to us whenever our voices rise in praise. In your great mercy, have compassion on me and on us all. Let my congregation not falter on our account, nor I on theirs. Guide the lips of those who lead your people in worship. Strengthen our faith and purify our thoughts. And let your love draw a veil over all things. So may our prayers ascend this day to the throne of your glory. We're going to turn to page 248. We are lighting candles. let's gather the light. And then you can cover your eyes as we say the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel yom tov Shabbat
Yom HaKippurim. Shachianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
You may be seated. As we move into Kol Nidre, I'd like to share this piece that was written by a friend and colleague of mine, Rabbi David Seidenberg. A vow, like every promise, binds a moment in the past to a moment in the future. It restricts the future to what we imagined in the past. In the Sephardi custom, there are two different versions of Kol Nidre that are sung. The first version releases us from vows taken between Yom Kippur last year and this Yom Kippur. That version is sung twice. The second version, like the Ashkenazi, releases us from vows that might be taken from this Yom Kippur through next year's Yom Kippur. That's the version sung the third time. Why? Because this day is a day to be and become anything. By releasing all the promises that bind us, going backward into the past and looking forward into the future, we are detaching and unbinding the day of Yom Kippur from all other days, past and future. We are freeing ourselves to become whatever we need to be right now. We are freeing ourselves to embody, in some small way, the holiest name of God, Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh. I will become what I will be. Let us become. As we move into Kol Nidre, which is the release of vows, release from vows, I would like to have us turn in our handout to page 1. We're going to say this, and just to let you know, right after we say this, I'm going to ask the current president is up here. I'm going to ask past presidents to come forward. Let's say this together. Yom Kippur, the Jewish people's festival of the soul, and Kol Nidre, its sacred portal, a night of deep emotions, a night, as the psalmist wrote, to rejoice with trembling. We rejoice at the sound of Kol Nidre, rhythmic words of release from vows, oaths, and promises to God we fail to keep. We tremble at the melody, music of spiritual amazement. It fills us with awe as we stand before God and Torah. We rejoice that we stand together, strengthened by community in this hour of shared weakness and humility. We tremble, for tonight we confess our flaws, admit our imperfection, and acknowledge a power far beyond our understanding. We rejoice that we commit ourselves to great endeavors because we feel so deeply and think so nobly. We tremble, for we find that our ideals are far greater than our ability. Our promises surpass our might. We rejoice in the freedom that is Kol Nidre's true gift, the freedom to begin a new year without fear of failure, to aspire to be God's image in the world. We tremble because we are mortal. We rejoice in our gratitude for life. We rejoice with trembling and enter Kol Nidre to face our humanity. Before we move into Kol Nidre, I just want to say about a word about the choreography of what's going to happen. The Ark is going to open and the Torahs will come out. They'll be held by the past presidents. We are convening a Beit Din. We're convening a Jewish court of at least 3 knowledgeable Jewish adults who are qualified to say, yeah, okay, you're released. You're released from your vows. We're going to, oh, my handout is in the wrong order. We're going to go through Kol Nidre 3 times. The first time, the Cantor Shir is going to chant. The second time, we are all going to say Kol Nidre together. And the third time, we're going to be seated and we're going to hear Carol and Julian Ross, or just Julian. I'm so confused, and I don't have the right copy in front of me. Oh, there. Hi, Julian. Julian is going to play. He's going to play Kol Nidre for us that he arranged. Julian, can I see your face? I don't have the notes where I wrote copiously during our conversation. So this is a Kol Nidre that you arranged. This is not the Kol Nidre that we are accustomed to hearing. And the reason for that is because the composer for the Kol Nidre that we have been accustomed to hearing wasn't Jewish. He was known, and I learned this from Julian, so please correct me if I'm wrong, he was known for composing melodies for a variety of different, using musical, I don't know what the word is. Okay, themes, musical themes from a variety of different cultures that weren't his, where here we have a master musician who is Jewish, he's a member of our congregation, and he arranged a version of Kol Nidre for us. So we're going to be hearing this new Kol Nidre. I don't know how new it is, but it's new to me. And you'll be welcome to sit down for that so that you don't have to feel like you're standing while we're listening to this beautiful, beautiful rendition of Kol Nidre. So at this time, I'm going to ask you to please rise. If you're able, I'm going to ask our past presidents to please come forward. And by the way, while the Beit Din is organizing themselves, I want to say a word about the power of a Beit Din. When a person converts to become Jewish, when a person joins the Jewish people, they have to go before a Beit Din and they have to explain why they want to be Jewish. And then the Beit Din, the at least 3 knowledgeable Jews, get to decide if they are welcome to join us. When I was ordained as a rabbi, there was a Beit Din, and I went before the Beit Din with the other members of my class, And they are the ones who ordained me. They're the ones who said that I and my classmates are all qualified to be rabbis. Are you holding the Torahs?
Not yet.
Oh, take them. That's why I'm talking, so that,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Oh, this is great. This is great. So the Beit Din derives its power from being a group of knowledgeable Jews who are holding a Sefer Torah. Now, when people convert, we don't often have a Sefer Torah to hold, so we don't use one. But during times like this, when we're going to be released from our vows, past, present, and future, and during times when we, let's say, ordain rabbis, we are always holding the Sifrei Torah that we have. Okay, we're in the handout on page 2. No, we're not. We're in the prayer book on page 251.
Tzadik ulayishrei lev simcha. Or zaru al tzadik ulayishrei lev simcha. Zaru al tzadik u'leyishrei lev simcha. Or zaru al tzadik u'leyishrei lev simcha. Zaru al tzadik u'leyishrei lev simcha. O zaru al tzadik u'leyishrei lev simcha. Zaru al tzadik u'leyishrei lev simcha.
At the bottom of 251, in the sight of God and of the congregation, no matter how far some of us may have transgressed by departing from our people and our heritage, we pray as one on this night of remembrance. Kol Nidre, a whisper of wings, as promises are remembered, saint and sinner alike communes with the Most High. We are at one. Heart of all life, from this day of atonement to the next,
may we reach it in peace.
All Israel makes these vows to turn from sin and wrongdoing and to walk in the way of your law, the path of justice and right. Yet we know our weakness, how prone we are to fail. Help us to keep these vows made with contrite hearts. We have come to seek pardon and forgiveness.
Kol nidre v'yesarei v'charomei v'konomei, v'achinu yeh, v'achinu sei, u'shavuot. Udayishtovana udiacharimna vadiasarna navshatana dinarna Udayish Tavana Udiacharina Udiacharina Vadi Asarna Shatana Yom Kippurim zeh Ad Yom Kippurim Haba Aleinu Latova Icharatna v'hon Kol hon shran Yahon sharan Yahon sharan Yahon Sharon Shvikin Shavitin Batelin Umavotalin La Sharin V'la Kayamin Nidrana La Nidre Vesorano Velo Esare Shavuatana Shavuot.
Let all our vows and oaths, all the promises we make and the obligations we incur to you, O God, between this Yom Kippur and the next, be null and void should we, after honest effort, find ourselves unable to fulfill them. Then may we be absolved of them. You may be seated.
V'ni salak l'kol adat b'nei Yisrael v'agar v'tocham Ki lechol ham, bishagaga.
Julia? Please rise again if you're able. Knowingly or not, the whole community of Israel and all who live among them have sinned. Let them be forgiven.
Slachna lavon ha'azeh kagodel chasdecha v'chasher nasata לעם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה ושם 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 נאמר אדוני סלחתי כברך ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כברך ויאמר אדוני סלחתי
As in your love you have been patient with this people from the time you led us out of Egypt to the present day, so in your great love may you forgive your people now. And the Lord said, I have pardoned in response to your plea.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Let's put this Sifrei Torah away.
We weren't singing it, we were supposed to be saying it. It's okay. I think it says say in there, but it's okay.
You may be seated. I'm going to speak. This is the part where I speak. I know, I'm talking all the time. But this is the part where I speak. I want to start by saying thank you to Rabbi Thomas Alpert for sharing this talk with me. He actually shared it with me many years ago, and it strikes me as perfect for tonight. I hope that you find it as meaningful as I do. Jim McLaren had it made. As the journalist Elizabeth Gilbert tells the story, he was a fatherless child from a poor family. But he'd gone on to graduate from a prestigious university where he had excelled as a scholar, a football player, and a theater star. It was an early fall day. He'd spent the previous night in the company of debutantes and was now riding his motorcycle home from what appeared to have been a successful job interview. He never saw the 40,000-pound bus that ran a red light on 34th Street in New York City. After 8 days in a coma, Jim McLaren awoke to find that his left leg had been amputated below the knee. Over the next 8 years, Jim did not let his disability keep him from reaching and exceeding his goals. He graduated from the Yale School of Drama, and he got parts in the theater and on television. He actually became a better athlete as an amputee than he had been when he was fully able. He took up swimming, then bicycling. He started running. Soon, he ran the Boston Marathon, where he set the world speed record for amputee contenders. McLaren began to make a living as a motivational speaker, encouraging people to never accept the notion of personal limitations. Jim certainly didn't. He would routinely finish marathons in the top third of able-bodied contenders. Finding that he needed a new challenge, he took up triathlons. And then, once he had those mastered, he entered Ironman competitions. These require participants to swim for 2.5 miles, bicycle for 112 miles, and run a full 26-plus mile marathon, all in one race, all in one day. Jim did it on one leg. In 1993, Jim was riding his bicycle down the streets of Mission Viejo, California, in the midst of an Ironman competition. He was leading the pack. Suddenly, Jim heard the crowd gasp. He turned his head to see what was going on, and there was the steel grille of a black van heading straight toward him. A policeman guarding the closed course had decided to let one car through. It was a terrible mistake. When McLaren woke up, he saw the nurses in tears. He was 30 years old, and he was now a quadriplegic. McLaren was what is known as an incomplete quadriplegic. This means that although all 4 limbs were damaged when he broke his neck, he still had limited nerve activity, allowing him some movement and some sensation. He was able to live alone. With tremendous effort, he could bathe himself, dress himself, and even drive a specially equipped van. But he was also almost always in pain. It's ironic, but had his injury been more severe, his pain would have been less. His body would have atrophied. Instead, it continued to make itself felt. The rehabilitation was almost indescribably torturous, even worse than after the initial accident. But to nobody's surprise, Jim became the model recovering quadriplegic. He pushed as hard as he could, this motivational speaker who had told everyone that no limits could stop a person of determination, until eventually he hit a wall. Determination could only go so far. His recovery could only go so far. And, as Elizabeth Gilbert wrote, the day he realized the truth was the day invincible Jim McLaren finally began to lose it. McLaren took the sizable settlement he had won after the second accident and moved to Hawaii. There, he indulged in a cocaine habit that he picked up before the second accident. As he put it, he'd first been offered the drug by a woman who said, "Go ahead. You've suffered so much. You deserve it." Cocaine mixed with liquor. Soon, Jim McLaren was falling more and more deeply out of life. One night, he found himself drunk and wheeling his chair up the middle lane of some desolate highway. He realized he was on Ali'i Drive, the most famous stretch of road on the Hawaiian Ironman race course. He'd run marathons on this road. He had triumphed here. Now he was unwashed, alone, in a wheelchair, trying to figure out where he could get cocaine at 3 o'clock in the morning. And Jim McLaren yelled to the sky, "Why are you doing this to me?" Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav was a Hasidic master who lived 2 centuries ago. He taught this: speak to God and understand your purpose in life. Think about yourself and beg God to help you find God. Use whatever language you speak best and argue with God, petitioning to God in every way. That night, Jim McLaren began to turn himself around. He did so by going down deep into himself. He said, "The first thing I had to do was to identify my absolute deepest fear about all this. What was it? What was the worst thing about having to spend life as a quadriplegic?" He said it wasn't the fear of death. He could face that. It wasn't the fear of helplessness or pain, although both of those were difficult. So what was I afraid of? The answer was pretty clear. I was afraid of being alone with myself, with my mind, with the dark things that lived in me, like fear and doubt and loneliness and confusion. From the depths of hell, or from a lonely road in Hawaii, or from confronting the deepest fears of our lives, we can cry out to God. A disciple was once standing before the sickbed of Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav. The rabbi said, "The main thing is, from the depths of hell, I cried out." It is from there that God can hear us without the distractions of our own egos. It's from there that we can start to turn around. Yom Kippur is the time that we Jews have been given to go down to the depths. Our tradition says that on this day we abstain from 5 things: from eating and drinking, from washing, from anointing ourselves, from wearing leather shoes, and from engaging in physical intimacies. We eliminate all those things that give our bodies pleasure. We let go of our bodies for a day and seek to find what is inside ourselves. What are our fears? What is keeping us from crying out? We do this together with the community of others who are likewise seeking these answers. We look at our torments, the hells that each of us are in. If we're honest with ourselves, we recognize, as Jim McLaren did, that there is only so much that each of us can do for ourselves. If we use this time wisely, we examine and confront our deepest fears. And then, like Jim McLaren, like Jonah, like Rabbi Nachman, from the depths of our hells, we cry out to God. True teshuvah, really turning around, requires more than that we go to the depths and cry out. Maimonides tells us that we have succeeded in accomplishing teshuvah when we have the opportunity and ability to do something wrong that we've done before, but this time we do things right. In order to do teshuvah, we must refrain from repeating our mistakes, because that is the height of arrogance. Going to the depths is not complete teshuvah, and even learning not to repeat mistakes is not complete teshuvah. If we have improperly hurt others, it's our job to make things right for them. As our liturgy says, for transgressions of one human being against another, the Day of Atonement does not atone until they have made peace with each other. Have you wronged someone? Then it's your job to make it right. We need to learn, and we need to correct our mistakes. But that in no way reduces the significance of going down to the depths and crying out to God. It is, as Rabbi Nachman said, the ikar. Well, he probably said ikar. The word ikar means the main thing, but it also means the essence. We need to go to the essence of who we are. Because if we don't, then the efforts we take will only be temporary. We'll make the same mistakes again and again unless we know who we really are and who we really need to be. And we can only recognize who we need to be when we recognize that our lives have a purpose. In an article about Jim McLaren, long before he died, Elizabeth Gilbert wrote, "As a human being, you have two choices as to how you view the events of your life. Either you can believe that every act is random, or you can believe every act occurs for a preordained reason. But what if you believe every act occurs for a reason, and then hideous, unspeakable things happen to you? Well, you're faced with two choices once more. Either you can believe you are cursed, or you can believe you are somehow blessed." Jim McLaren, who lost a leg at 22 and became a quadriplegic at 30, has decided to believe he is blessed, said Elizabeth Gilbert. He had decided to believe he is blessed. Jim McLaren was no fool, not even a holy one. He didn't enjoy losing his leg, and he didn't enjoy being in a wheelchair, but he learned to look for blessings. He learned that being able to talk to God on that deserted highway in Hawaii, being able to scream at God, is something that many of us never do. We never come that close to the source of being. Perhaps his lowest moment was his highest one. Perhaps it is the ikar, the main thing, the essence of all. Gilbert says, Jim came to believe there were other blessings. For the first time, he could see something most people go through their entire lives blind to, namely that we are not in charge of what happens to us in this lifetime. We are in charge only of how we perceive what happens to us in this lifetime. We are blessed if we find our blessings, even the unspeakable, even in the horrible. We are blessed if we choose to be blessed. This is what the Torah says, the words that we will read tomorrow morning. Hachayim v'hamavet natati lefanecha, habracha v'haklala, uvacharta b'chayim. I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore, choose life. Life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life. Jim McLaren had once surrounded himself with people who were essentially saying to him, with each gram of cocaine and each grimace of pity, "Go ahead and kill yourself, Jim. You've suffered enough. I give you permission to leave this life." But Jim said, "I don't want to leave this life." Choose life. We choose life when we choose blessing. We choose life when we decide that we will regard what life gives us as a blessing. And if we decide that life gives us blessings, we'll act accordingly. This is a great principle, Maimonides writes, this requirement to choose life. The Creator neither decrees nor compels human beings to do good or do evil. Rather, everything is up to them. What will happen to us? That is not up to us. But how we see it and what we do about it, these are up to us. And Maimonides is right. Those are everything. Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav was born in 1772, the scion of a great Hasidic family in a period when Hasidism was under attack by the Mitnagdim, the forces of tradition in the Jewish world. Nevertheless, in part because he was a brilliant man, he developed a corps of devoted followers. He also suffered throughout his life from extreme bouts of crippling depression. In 1806, when Rabbi Nachman was 32, his 15-month-old son died of tuberculosis. Later that year, he and his wife Sasha had another son who also died in early childhood. Sasha died of tuberculosis a few months later, and Rabbi Nachman himself contracted the disease at about the same time. The illness ravaged the remainder of his life. In 1810, his house burned down, and he was forced to spend the night of Shabbat on a nearby mountain. Rabbi Nachman died later that year at the age of 38. Once, in the depths of his illness, his followers came to see him. Nachman greeted them in a faint voice. "Why have you come?" he asked. "When I have a lesson to teach you, then you have some reason to come to me. But why have you come now? Don't you see I know nothing at all?" He continued like this for a time, beginning to draw a lesson even from what it means to know nothing. Suddenly, reports a disciple, the Rebbe cried out from the depths of his heart, "Gewalt, by heaven, never give up. There is absolutely no reason to give up. It is," continued the disciple, "utterly impossible to depict the Rebbe's intonations and gestures and the limitless encouragement he put into those words." Yom Kippur comes to provide limitless encouragement. It comes to tell us, never give up. Teshuvah, turning, is always possible. We can turn our lives into blessing. The gates are open. There is yet time. Rabbi Nachman said, no matter how far you've fallen, it is still forbidden to give up hope. Teshuvah is higher even than the Torah, and therefore, there is absolutely no place for despair. The day before his second accident, the one where he broke his neck, Jim McLaren awoke early. A strange energy coursed through him. The sun was coming up, reflecting off the Colorado mountains where he lived, and the morning light was filmy and gold. He couldn't focus on the book he tried to read. He couldn't focus on his breakfast. He couldn't even focus on the upcoming Ironman competition. All that mattered was the inexplicable bliss that was surrounding him in that moment. The bliss grew until it became an overwhelming sense of what he would later describe as anticipation. He had never felt anything like this before and never wanted it to end. His girlfriend saw tears in his eyes. "What is it, Jim?" she asked. 24 hours from becoming a quadriplegic, he answered, "Pam, listen, something amazing is about to happen to me." Becoming a quadriplegic was far from amazing. It was devastating for Jim McLaren. But somehow, McLaren was able to lift himself up, to find his voice, and to cry out to God. Somehow, McLaren was able to go deep inside himself and become a shining star. That's what's amazing about Jim McLaren's story. May we learn from Jim McLaren about going inside, going deep. May we learn how to face our own hell and how to cry out in order to climb up. May we each find a way to choose blessing in our lives. May we each become a blessing. May we each choose life. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. We are going to continue on page 254. Usually we would stand here, but I'm not going to ask you to stand. You can stay seated. We're at the very bottom of the page in the English. Let's say this blessing together. Why are we standing? Okay. When justice burns within us like a flaming fire, when love evokes willing sacrifice from us, when to the last full measure of selfless devotion, we demonstrate our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness, then your goodness enters our lives. Then you live within our hearts, and we through righteousness behold your presence. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. And I'm sorry, I'm a little discombobulated. We're going to jump up on page 254 to say this blessing about creation. Let's say this together. Oh God, how can we know you? Where can we find you? You are as close to us as breathing, yet you are farther than the farthest most star. You are as mysterious as the vast solitudes of night, yet as familiar to us as the light of the sun. To Moses you said, you cannot see my face, but I will make all my goodness pass before you. Even so does your goodness pass before us in the realm of nature and in the varied experiences of our lives. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We're at the top of 255 in the Hebrew. This is the Shema. Be seated. Page 256, we're in the English toward the bottom of the page. Let's say this responsively. True and enduring are the words spoken by our prophets.
You are the living God.
Your word brings life. You are the first and the last.
Besides you, there is no remainder or savior.
You are the strength of our life, the power that saves us. You have been the help of our people in time of trouble. Your power was manifest when we went free out of Egypt. May your law of freedom rule the hearts of all your children.
May your law of justice unite them in friendship.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and triumph by power.
O God, our refuge and our hope, we glorify your name now as did our people in ancient days. Adonai et Yaakov ugalo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael.
258.
Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim u'faros aleinu sukat shalomecha v'takanenu Beitza tova milefanecha v'hoshienu loman shemecha v'hagein ba'adeinu v'aser me'aleinu oyev dever v'cherev v'rav v'yagom v'haser satan milfaneinu u'me'achareinu u'v'tzel knafecha Taschirenu. Ata Kiel Melech Chablu V'rachu Aleinu Sukat Shalomecha Baruch atah Adonai Haporei Sukat Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Amo Yisrael V'al Yerushalayim
Bottom of 258, the Shamru.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורות הברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We're in the middle of 259, Ki Vayom.
כי ביום הזה יכפר עליכם לטהר אתכם מכל חטאותיכם, לפני אדוני תתארו.
For on this day atonement shall be made for you to purify you. You shall be cleansed from all your sins before Adonai.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה. אמן. בעלמא תברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דך בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו. בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשא. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה. דמירן דמירן בעלמא וימרו. דמירן דמירן בעלמא וימרו.
We're going to go in just a moment into the Amidah, the standing silent meditation. In our prayer books, it's called Tefillah, which means prayer. We're going to start all together on pages 260 and 261. And then you will be welcome to have a short period for silent prayer. You're welcome to say the words in the prayer book. The Amidah ends on page 268, or you can say the words from your own heart, or some combination. After we begin all together, you are also welcome to sit down. If you feel like you want to sit down, you're welcome to stay standing and say your private prayer and then be seated after that. For now, we're on page 260, and I'm going to ask you to please rise if you're able.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu ve'imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah Elohei Rachel Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot Umevi Gaula Livnei V'Neihem Laman Shemo Zochreinu l'chaim Melech hafetz l'chaim V'chaveinu l'sefer ha'chaim L'mancha Elohim Melech Ozer uMoshiach uMagen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah Amen. מחיי הכל אתה הרב לא שיעה, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לא שני עפר, מי כמוך מעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ברית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, מי כמוך ברחמים על הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
Continue to yourself to page 268. You may be seated if you wish. If you're going to pray standing up, then be seated when you're finished. If you are still davening, continue to yourself at your own pace. We're going to jump back to page 266.
Ratzei Adonai Eloheinu Yamacha Yisrael Utefilatam B'Ahava Tikabel Utehil Ratzon Tamid Avodat Yisrael Yisrael Amecha
We're in the middle of 267. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech hador l'chol ha'shalom v'tov b'einecha nevarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Sefer Chaim ברכה ושלום,
ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה,
ברכה ושלום, ניזכר וניכתב לפניך, הענקנו לכל עמך בית ישראל. לחיים טובים ושלום, ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
Let's turn to the bottom of 268. Oseh Shalom. A prayer for peace.
Shalom,
We're going to move now into the handout. We're moving into the part of the service that is unique to Yom Kippur, the confessional. Every time I say that, I feel like it doesn't sound so Jewish. But that's what we do on Yom Kippur. We're confessing. The one thing that is notable, the one thing that we do on Yom Kippur that is very, very Jewish, is that all of this confessional is in the we. We have done this wrong thing. We. We understand that we hold each other up. We understand that if one person in our group is doing the wrong thing, that we all have a responsibility to help that person do the right thing. It's all about us, all together, and not just us, but Jewish communities all over the world are saying the same exact words. I want to say right now, but at this time in whatever time zone they are. So some people are fast asleep and some people haven't, gotten here yet. Turn to page 2 in your handout, and we're going to be in the handout for a little while. I'm going to ask you to rise if you are able. We're at the very top of the page. It's also traditional in Jewish tradition to, beat your chest. I don't like that so much. I think that in our world we beat ourselves up enough. But if you come from a tradition where you actually beat your chest, give yourself a gentle tap on your chest with each, I guess, enunciation of the ways in which we have done wrong. Top of page 2.
Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu va'imotenu tavo lefanecha tefilatenu v'al titalam mitchinatenu Sha'el anaknu azefanim ukashe'oref lomar lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Tzadikim anachnu v'lo chanu, aval anachnu chatanu.
Together, our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong.
Ashamnu,
Ashamnu,
Bagadnu,
Bagadnu,
Kazalnu,
Kazalnu,
Dibarnu Dofi,
Dibarnu Dofi,
Avinu,
Avinu,
Lahir Shanu,
Shanu,
Zadnu,
Zadnu,
Hamasnu,
Hamasu,
Tafalnu Shaker,
Tafanu Shaker,
Ya'atzra,
Yatsnura,
Kizavnu,
Kizavnu,
Latznu,
Latsnu, Of these wrongs we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversely. We are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander. We devise evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey. We abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes. We are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral, we kill, we spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray. Page 3. Our turning away from your mitzvot and laws of goodness is a hollow pursuit. You are just concerning all that happens in our lives. Your way is the truth, while ours leads to error. What can we say to you, whose existence is beyond time and space? What words of ours can reach your realm, beyond the clouds, beyond heaven itself? Every hidden mystery, every revelation, surely you know them all. Continue with me. You know the secrets of the universe and the secrets of the human heart. You know and understand us, for you examine our inner lives. Nothing is concealed from you, nothing hidden from your sight. Eternal One, our God and God of our ancestors, we pray that this be your will. Forgive all our wrongs, pardon us for every act of injustice, help us to atone for all our moral failures. Page 4 is the long confession, Vidoy Rabbah. I'm going to say the Hebrew, you will say the English. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bizadon uvishgaga, al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'dibor peh.
Deliberately and by mistake, and harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouths.
Ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha bi'imutz halev, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tipshut peh.
The ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and harm we have caused in your world through careless speech.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chachashu v'chazav, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'richilut.
The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'flilut, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'zilzul horim u'morim.
The ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'vidoy peh, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'hona'at re'ah.
The ways we have wronged you through insincere apologies, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chozek yad, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'masa uvmatan.
The ways we have wronged you through violence and abuse, and harm we have caused in your world.
For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us. Shechatanu lefanecha begaloy uvaseter, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha bifrikat ol.
The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by losing self-control.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha begiloy arayot, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'ma'achal uv'mishteh.
The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha beyetzer hara, ואחרי שחטאנו לפניך בנשך ובמרבית.
The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through greed.
אחרי שחטאנו לפניך בלצון, ואחרי שחטאנו לפניך בנטיית גרון.
The ways we have wronged you through cynicism and scorn, and harm we have caused in your world through arrogant behavior.
אחרי שחטאנו לפניך בשנאת חינם, ואחרי שחטאנו לפניך בטומאת שפתיים.
The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech.
אחרי שחטאנו לפניך בלשון הרע, ואחרי שחטאנו לפניך בצרות עין.
The ways we have wronged you with a slanderous tongue, and harm we have caused in your world through a selfish or petty spirit.
For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. We're going to jump to page 9. Let's say this in English together. Let our needs rise up with the darkness, our cries with the rays of the sun. All day our praise is before you, songs of joy and bliss till evening comes. May our voices soar at nightfall, our just deeds shine forth with the light. All day we await deliverance. Fervent our hope for redemption, till evening comes. Let our suffering ascend at twilight, our forgiveness with the break of dawn. All day we sigh from oppression, cry out for right and justice, till evening comes. May there be refuge when night surrounds us. At sunrise, save heaven for your sake. All day our words rise from a sea of sorrow, and they break in waves of atonement, till evening comes. Continue on the next page. Let evening bring salvation. Let morning make all hearts pure. This day our prayers spell healing. Peace, peace to all far and near, till evening comes. May mindfulness of us rise with the evening star, our worthy deeds revealed in the radiance of dawn. All day we meditate on life's beauty, the precious jewels of creation, till evening comes. Let our pounding on the gates of mercy thunder on high as darkness falls, and with dawn let the joy of renewal arrive. The day holds the urgency of our prayers, confessions of the heart, lamentations of the soul, till evening comes. May our yearnings rise above the shadows of dusk. May the searching of our souls reach you in the morning. All day our praise is before you. May it be acceptable. May it be received till evening comes. Next page, page 11 in the handout. Shema Kolenu.
Shema Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Shema Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Chus v'rachem aleinu, v'kabel barachamim. Chus v'rachem aleinu, uvratzon et tefillatenu, Shema Koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Shema Koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh Yameinu Kakedem, Shema Koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Shema Koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu.
Hear our call, Adonai our God. Show us compassion. Accept our prayer with love and goodwill. Take us back, Adonai. Let us come back to you. Renew our days as in the past. Hear our words, Adonai. Understand our unspoken thoughts. May the speech of our mouth and our heart's quiet prayer be acceptable to you, Adonai, our rock and our redeemer. Do not cast us away from your presence or cut us off from your Holy Spirit. Do not cast us away when we are old, as our strength diminishes. Do not forsake us. Do not forsake us, Adonai. Be not far from us, our God. With hope, Adonai, we await you. Surely you, Adonai our God, you will answer. You may be seated. Let's turn to page 12 in your handout. Let's say this together. Consider the clay in the potter's hand, stretched and rolled as the artist desires. So are we in your hand, our loving protector. Look to the covenant, not our imperfection. Consider the stone in the mason's hand, broken or kept whole as the stone cutter sees fit. So are we in your hand, creator of life and death. Look to the covenant, not our imperfection. Consider the iron in the welder's hand, held to the flame or removed at will. So are we in your hand, provider for the poor and afflicted. Look to the covenant, not our imperfection. Consider the helm in the seafarer's hand, steering or drifting as the sailor wills it. So are we in your hand, our God of goodness and forgiveness. Look to the covenant, not our imperfection. Consider the glass in the glazier's hand, rounded and melted as the artist desires. So are we in your hand, the one who pardons our errors and our wrongdoing. Look to the covenant, not our imperfection. Turn back in your prayer book to page 279.
We are your people, you are our ruler. We are your children, you are our parents. We are your possession, we are your portion. We are your flock, you are our shepherd. We are your vineyard, you are our keeper. We are your beloved, you are our friend.
Please rise if you're able. We're on page 280. Sam Yeaman, I'd love to have you come up and open the ark. Okay, Sam here. Okay. I will say the Hebrew and you can say the English. Avinu Malkeinu, Shma Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, P'tach Sha'arei Shamayim L'Tfilatenu.
Be open to our plea.
Avinu Malkeinu, Tehei HaSha'a Hazot, Sha'at Rachamim Ve'et Ratzon Milfanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, let this be an hour of compassion and favor.
Avinu Malkeinu, Harem Keren Yisrael Amecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, give strength to your people Israel.
Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Lema'an Harukim Al Shem Kodshecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, remember those slain for their love of your name.
Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Lema'an Ba'e Va'esh Uvamayim Al Kiddush Shemecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, remember those who went through fire and water for your sake.
Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Lema'ancha V'Hoshienu.
Avinu Malkeinu, be mindful of us and help us.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kodvenu B'Sefer Slicha U'Mechila.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of forgiveness.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kodvenu B'Sefer Chaim Tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us for blessing in the book of life.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kodvenu B'Sefer Geula V'Shua.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of deliverance and redemption.
And let's finish this last verse in English. Avinu Malkeinu, be gracious and answer us, for we have little merit. Treat us generously and with kindness, and be our help.
Avinu Malkeinu, Aleinu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu masim. Aseh imanu, Aseh imanu, Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Vaneinu, Vaneinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Vaneinu, Vaneinu, Ki ein banu
After the ark is closed, you may be seated. We're going to turn back to our handout on page 13. Yasher koach. It's nice to see you.
Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
B'alma divarach erotei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uv'yom echon uv'kayedecho beit Yisrael b'gala uv'izman kariv v'yimru imru amen Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almayah yitbarach v'yishtabach Vayitpar, Vayitromam, Vayitnaseh, Vayitadar, Vayitale, Vayitalal, Shemei de Kudasha, Shemei Kudasha, Brichu, Liela min kol birchal bas birchata, Vashirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata v'diran v'yalma. Tushbachata v'nechemata damiran v'yalma v'imru. Amen. Titkabel zaloton uvauton b'chal beit Yisrael kadam v'hon v'ishmaya tomimru v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabbah min Shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu, aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. Vayimru, vayimru, Amen.
Page 282, please rise for Aleinu. Let us revere the God of life and sing the praise of nature's Lord, who spread out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory is proclaimed by the starry skies, and whose wonders are revealed in the human heart. He is our God, there is none else. With love and awe we acclaim the eternal God, the Holy One, blessed be God.
V'anachnu koraim u'mishtachavim u'modim. V'anachnu koraim u'mishtachavim u'modim. HaKadosh, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu.
You may be seated. Turn to page 14 in your handout, and let's say this together. And then all that has divided us will merge, and then compassion will be wedded to power, and then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind, and then all people will be gentle, and then all people will be strong, and then no person will be subject to another's will, and then all will be rich and free and varied, and then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many, and then all will share equally in the earth's abundance, And then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old. And then all will nourish the young. And then all will cherish life's creatures. And then all will live in harmony with one another and the earth. And then everywhere will be called Eden once again. Turn back in your prayer book to the bottom of 282. That was beautiful. We turn now to remembering those whom we've lost who are not here today. We hold in our hearts everybody who is on these boards. And I think I managed to leave the list of people whose yahrzeits we are observing specifically this week in the office. I'm smiling at Pat because she saw me do it. No, not my office, the office. But maybe my office, I don't know. I think Ken is going to get it. On that list is my mother, Illy Brown, of blessed memory. She died in 2012 during KOL NIDRE. So remembering mourners is a challenge for me at KOL NIDRE because I'm also remembering my own loss. I think while we're waiting, maybe you could give your announcements now.
Called stalling. Thank you all so much for coming, whether you are here in person, whether you're on the live stream. Thank you so much for joining us for KOL NIDRE services this evening. We all, every member of the board, those currently on it, those who have served on it, wish you an easy fast and wish you a Gamar Chatima Tova. Before we move on, I just want to share that this past spring I had the great fortune of going to a seminar, the Scheit Seminar in Atlanta for current and incoming congregational presidents from the Reform movement. And while we were there, Rabbi Rick Jacobs, the president of the URJ, shared a little teaching with you that I would love to share, and it's going to tie in with my thank yous wonderfully. So he taught us that the phrase Kavod Adonai appears 3 times in the book of Exodus. This is commonly translated as the glory of God, or God's glory, God's presence. The first instance is in chapter 16, when we read about Moses giving instructions on gathering the manna in the morning. Second instance is in chapter 40, where we read about God's presence filling the Mishkan, the tabernacle. The third instance is in chapter 24. You may, thinking a little bit about the pinnacle of Exodus, may have a thought about what this is, the revelation on Sinai. KOL NIDRE is a powerful prayer. This is now me. KOL NIDRE is a powerful prayer made even more powerful this evening by the chanting of Cantor Shir and the playing of Julianne Ross. Kavod Adonai, the glory of God, God's presence surely descended upon us and was with us this evening. Rabbi, thank you for your leadership, thank you for your words, and for encouraging us to be a blessing in these times of so much pain in the world. Cantor Shir, Beryl, Sarah, the choir, Julian, thank you, 1,000 thank yous for all the music you provide. To the tech team, thank you for ensuring that anybody who wanted to participate this evening could do so. To Pat, she may be downstairs. To Pat, thank you so much for everything you do for the high holidays and throughout the year. To all the past presidents here tonight, it was a little crowded on the Bima. That's wonderful to see. Thank you for everything you have done, and thank you for joining us. To our security guards, thank you so much for again keeping us safe. Services tomorrow will begin at 10 o'clock. They will be live streamed, but we really would love to see you here. It will be followed by the first Yizkor service around 12:30, also live streamed. We'll take a short break, I believe, and then study session, family service, more Yizkor, and then concluding with Ne'ilah and Havdalah at 6:30. Please join us. We would love to have you here tomorrow. Thank you all very much. Back to you, Rabbi.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken. Oh, it's not on? Oh, it's on now. Thank you, Ken, and thank you, Pat. I hope Pat comes back. What? She's downstairs, thank you. For bringing the list of the people for whom we are observing a yard site this week. I'm going to say the names of the people who the congregation is observing a yard site for communally, and as my hand and my eyes track, if there is somebody who you are in a period of mourning for, or you are observing a yard site for, you can add their names. This week, we are observing the yard sites of Harry Weiss, Pearl Cohen, Judy Feldmar, Hyman Goldberg, Edith Gordon, Rose A. Lehrer, Dr. Sandor A. Schwartz, Jerome Nakrin, Hetty Schwarzenfeld-Zaki, Illy Brown, Esther Elias, Daniel Sisman. Please rise for Mortar's Kaddish, Kaddish Yatom on page 284. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam u'omei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishkabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. You may be seated. May their memories always be a blessing. I want to add a thank you to Josh Levy for agreeing to be our president and for being, the person I can say, I forgot something, can you go get it? I want to thank Ken too, but you're all the way over there. We're going to conclude our service tonight on page 286. Just before we do, I want to let you know, the theme for me this Yom Kippur is about choosing life. I talked a little bit about that in my talk a little while ago. I'll be talking about that tomorrow, and our study session tomorrow afternoon is going to be about choose life. What could that possibly mean? Is there anyone in this room who does not have mental illness who would not choose life? Why does that have to be something we are commanded to do? We'll talk about that more tomorrow. We're on page 286. We're going to conclude with Yigdal.
Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishtabach Nitzav einei tel metziuto Echad v'yin yokid kiyichudo Le'am v'gam in sof le'achduo Eno demut hakuf
guys for a closing blessing. It's on page 15 in your handout.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May Adonai bless you and protect you.
Yo'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha.
May
Amen.
Adonai deal kindly and graciously with you.
Yiso Adonai panav elecha ve'yosem lecha shalom.
May
Amen.
Adonai bestow divine favor upon you and grant you peace.
Amen.
Gemar Chatima Tova, may you be signed and sealed for a good life, a good year in the book of life.